They didn't even try to hide it. Not entirely. Because when you know the cameras are watching, you don't show your real hand. You show them just enough. That's what made it suspicious. McLaren's final day of preseason testing didn't look different to the untrained eye. The car ran clean laps. The data looked consistent. The bodywork, the wings, the flow vis, nothing out of place. But behind closed doors, a different kind of conversation started. Two rival engineers, both from factory teams, flagged something odd. Not a failure. Not a sudden spike in performance. But the way McLaren's new aero map adjusted under load wasn't supposed to be possible. A request was made. Quiet. Formal. Directed to the FIA's technical delegate. Not for a protest. Not yet. But for clarification on what had just been seen. That's when things became uncomfortable. Because the answer that came back was technically correct. But it didn't explain anything. It confirmed that what McLaren had run was legal. At least for now. No rules had been broken. No direct lines crossed. And that's what makes this even more dangerous. Because if what McLaren just tested isn't banned, and no one fully understands how to replicate it, they might be about to enter 2026 with a weapon no one else has prepared for. And the scary part? They've done this before. They've been here. Once already. And last time, no one listened either, until it was too late. McLaren didn't arrive in Barcelona as the favorite. They didn't need to. Their goal wasn't to top the timing sheets. It was to make sure no one saw what they were really testing. On paper, the first 3 days of running were uneventful. No major failures. No sudden red flags. No dramatic headline pace. Just methodical testing. Consistent lap counts. A car that looked, on the surface, safe. Predictable. Balanced. That's what made it so easy to ignore. And why so many did. But behind the numbers, McLaren was doing something else entirely. They weren't chasing single-lap performance. They weren't simulating race runs. They were calibrating something more subtle. More dangerous. Not a part. Not a material. But a concept. The way the car responded under weight transfer was off. Not unstable. Not sharp. Just delayed. Then corrected. Perfectly. It was like watching two stages of input. One mechanical, one aerodynamic. Blend into a single motion. And if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't notice anything at all. But some people did. And what they saw, they couldn't fully explain. Because this wasn't about driver setup. Or chassis stiffness. This was something embedded in the architecture. Invisible from the outside. Undetectable by casual analysis. And yet, every lap McLaren ran brought them closer to a baseline. No one else seemed to be building toward. Which is why, after day 3, engineers from 2 separate teams raised a quiet request for information. Not to accuse, but to understand. Because what they saw wasn't illegal. But it wasn't expected either. And the FIA's answer? Only deepened the silence. The request for clarification wasn't public. It didn't go through the media. It went straight to the FIA's technical delegate, quiet, internal, discreet. What they asked for wasn't dramatic. No accusations. No protests. Just one word, intent. Because what McLaren ran didn't violate the letter of the law. But it did something unexpected. The car's aerodynamic balance, especially mid-corner, shifted in a way that didn't match the driver's inputs. Not fully. Not naturally. Almost as if the car knew what was coming next. That's when the first rumors started. That McLaren had integrated a dynamic aero controller. Not mechanical. Not active in the traditional sense. But reactive. Something that responds to energy load. Not speed. Not brake pressure. But how the car is being driven, in real time. If true, it would bypass a huge limitation in current aero philosophy. Because in 2026, with the new energy restrictions, teams aren't just managing fuel and battery. They're managing flow. How the air moves, when it moves, and how fast the chassis can adjust to it. The leak didn't confirm the device. No one has shown a blueprint. No diagrams. No patent filings. But the timing of McLaren's corner entry behavior, and how their DRS zones synced with tire load shifts, that was too clean. Too refined for a car that wasn't finished. And that's what triggered the second round of questions. Not about legality. About origin. Because for McLaren to build something like this, they either got very lucky, or someone showed them something they weren't supposed to see. What McLaren may have built doesn't fit into any existing category. It's not active suspension. It's not driver-adjustable aero. And it's not standard electronics. That's why no one's protesting it. Because no one's entirely sure what it is. And that's exactly where the danger begins. In Formula 1, the gray areas are never accidental. They're created, carefully, by people who know exactly where the line ends, and how to walk right along it without falling off. This wouldn't be the first time. Ferrari's 2019 engine wasn't illegal on paper, but it used oil flow in ways the rules couldn't yet measure. It took an FIA directive to stop it. Mercedes' DAS system? Totally legal. Until it wasn't. Because every generation of innovation in F1 starts as a blind spot. And that's what makes McLaren's approach so difficult to pin down. It's not that they've done something dramatic. It's that they've done something no one else has dared to test yet. And it fits the moment perfectly. Because the 2026 regulations are new, complicated, and still settling. There are gaps, ambiguities, clauses written in vague language, especially around energy deployment and bodywork flexibility. If McLaren's new system responds to load, not through moving parts, but through passive, reactive flex, they may have just discovered the modern equivalent of DAS. Not a trick, a loophole, one the FIA didn't see coming. And now, because they haven't banned it, they've all but approved it, whether they meant to or not. If this were just about the car, the FIA would already be investigating. They've done it before. Ferrari in 2019, Mercedes in 2020, even Red Bull's FlexiWings back in 2021. But this time, they're quiet. And that's what's different. Because according to several insiders, McLaren didn't develop this overnight. This concept has been in simulation since mid-2025, and more than one FIA official was shown early drafts of it, not as approval, not as a submission, but as part of routine design dialogue. The kind of information teams often share informally, to avoid problems before they happen. Which raises a bigger question. How much did the FIA already know? And if they knew, why didn't they intervene earlier? The worry now isn't the part itself. It's the precedent. Because if McLaren just proved that early collaboration with the FIA can be used as cover, as a shield, to run a borderline concept, then the next innovation will follow the same path. Inform first, push second, hope no one protests. It's a dangerous game, one where silence can be interpreted as consent. And the FIA knows this. They've seen how perception becomes policy. If they act now, they risk looking reactive. If they stay quiet, they risk losing control. That's the real fear. Not the part, the pattern. Right now, McLaren isn't leading the timesheets. They're not dominating sectors. They're not setting records. But that's not what matters. Because if this system works, they won't need to. They've built something structural. Something that doesn't rely on weather, or tire offset, or DRS zones. Something deeper. And if that's true, the rest of the grid is already on the back foot. Teams would need weeks, maybe months, to even understand the architecture, let alone replicate it. And in a cost cap era, reverse engineering a concept this embedded comes at a price no midfield team can afford. Ferrari and Mercedes may try. Red Bull, if they haven't already, will quietly start simulations. But there's another problem. If McLaren's interpretation is ruled legal now, then the FIA will need to either clarify the rulebook, or risk every team following suit. That opens the door to chaos. Aero arms races, hidden sensors, load-based bodywork flex that no camera can catch. And if a technical directive is issued mid-season, everything changes. McLaren could lose their edge overnight. Or worse, face retrospective scrutiny. This is why the stakes are so high. Because even if no rules are broken, the perception of unfairness can trigger protests, pressure, and political backlash. And once that starts, you don't control the narrative anymore. The paddock does. And the paddock has a long memory. The paddock is quiet for now. No protests. No statements. Just whispers. But that silence doesn't mean safety. It means calculation. Because teams aren't ignoring McLaren. They're watching, waiting, gathering data. Some have already adjusted their CFD models. Others are studying tire degradation patterns, comparing throttle maps, looking for patterns, any hint of where the gain comes from. And if that gain becomes visible, if McLaren shows real pace in Bahrain or Jeddah, this story explodes. Because right now, this is a question of legality. Later, it becomes a question of advantage. And the moment McLaren starts pulling away from teams they were level with just months ago, the narrative flips. It's no longer clever engineering. It's unfair advantage. It's FIA inconsistency. It's why didn't anyone stop this sooner? And those questions don't go away. They build. They feed the media. They shape the season. Because what McLaren may have done, intentionally or not, is open the first major regulatory battle of 2026. And if the FIA has to write a new directive mid-season, it won't just affect McLaren. It will affect every team still chasing clarity. So no, this isn't just about one part, or one concept. It's about control. And who really has it. And if the whispers in the paddock are even half right, this might only be the first layer of something much, much bigger.